We'd like to welcome you to the 75th Annual Olympic Logging Conference. Began in 1945, the Olympic Logging Conference has been an integral part of Western Washington's wood products industry. A diverse organization made up of the people who work in our forests, grow the trees, and process them into the many products we use and enjoy worldwide.
75 years. What do you think? What's the magic? What's made this thing work for 75 years?
Lots of people that enjoy Victoria, enjoy the Empress. They've always been very hospitable to us. And we're the longest continuous conference in all of Canada, I understand.
The Olympic Logging Conference has been an industry leader and innovator that we can all be proud of for the last 75 years. And because of our leadership, will continue for many years to come.
So when you're meeting with Rotarians or people on the Nature Conservancy Board, how do you describe this conference to them, and how would you tell them about what message the Olympic Logging Conference has?
If you own timber in the state of Washington, you need to be at this conference because we are the cutting edge of what the technology and the natural resource protections are happening, and you will see the best equipment and the most knowledgeable people at this conference.
Great.
You got some of the best timber in the world, you got some of the best timber growing in the world, you got people whose heritage is harvesting that timber, and we got the infrastructure like nowhere else in the world to handle it. We've been able to overcome a lot of the roadblocks that the regulators have put up for us simply because we have so many natural advantages.
Mm-hmm. So from your perspective, what is the value in attending the Olympic Logging Conference?
Well, there are a lot of conferences and associations and places that we can invest our time in the business, but the Olympic Logging Conference is a whole different social event that you bring your wife and families to, that's unlike any of the other associations in my thoughts.
Boy, I would say over half of our production, half of our work is with companies that we have met up here through the networking, and we try to tell other loggers to come up here and network and get your name out, but great success networking up here for us.
Networking. Yep.
Again, it's seeing the people that are here and connecting with the industry. There's so many changes going on that this gives me a real opportunity to find out what's happening. And today, a lot of those people that I dealt with at that are still real close friends. And that kind of comes to the forefront. The conference itself was always diversified, interesting. There was always something different. There was something to learn. And I really enjoyed being part of that.
What's been the value of coming to this conference for you over the years?
Well, I should say the value is the program. And that is a big part of it. I mean, you come to see good speakers and interesting topics, but as I get older, I come to see old friends. You know, I would describe it as it's a pretty tight-knit industry, and we're under siege by environmental issues. So we kind of come up here and find how to pull together a little more and find out who's doing some fun stuff to help solve some of those problems and make the industry, the image better.
One of the benefits of the conference are the topics that are discussed by our list of exceptional presenters that are relevant to our members today.
You're one of the few people that's here that's of your age, and how do we get more people to get into the timber industry of your generation?
Well, so I mean, we had the speaker come yesterday and talk about millennials and how to keep millennials and how to incentivize them to stay in with your company, because my generation, we're known for working in something for a few years and moving on to something else and something else after that. And I was a teacher for 6 years. So another big piece of coming to this conference is it can help you get out of a little bit of stagnation. When you're working every day, you can get into a groove where things are working fine. You're getting your jobs done, you're doing a great job, but you're not necessarily innovating. And sometimes it takes stepping away for a couple of days and having to be off your phone to sit through these presentations, and you get talking to people and you get thinking about stuff, and we probably come up with more ideas in these 2 days than we do in the next 6 months.
What, in your perspective of the purpose and values of attending this conference in the past, have you seen any changes that over time that are different today?
One of the big things that I come up for the conference is networking with the people we work with. Sometimes you talk to them on the phone a lot, but you never put a face to them. So up here gives you a chance to put a face to the person and do friendships, networking on business, and it's always revolving, the conference, with the themes that they do and what our industry does. It kind of dictates what we do up here and talk about.
So you're the generation that we're trying to attract to come to this. What can we do differently at this conference to get your generation more excited about coming here and also keeping them in the timber industry in the first place?
I think that bringing in some of these technology spots on the conference is really important because, like I said yesterday, rather than competing with technology, because that's who really this industry is competing with, as far as trying to draw folks into an industry. Technology is out there everywhere, and so bringing that component into the conference is really important, and because that's gonna draw attention, and having it up here in Canada. I mean, there's something to say about coming across the water and that separation from the regular routine.
What are some of the other new changes that OLC has implemented?
Another thing that's changed, and I kind of helped do this with the bylaws, we've kind of updated the chairman is now chair or co-chair, and the women are more included in the nuts and bolts of the conference.
So a few years ago, we changed the bylaws, and you get to be the first female chairperson on this committee, of 75 years. How do you feel about breaking that glass ceiling?
I think it's pretty incredible. I feel really honored and grateful that I get the opportunity. At the same time, all the co-chairs, the spouses are just as much or more involved, Right. And so being a chairwoman is, it's really exciting. I think it shows kind of the way our industry's probably going to trend, that there's going to be a lot more women that are not just on the co-chair or spousal side of supporting somebody in the industry. They're actually going to be the one in the industry.
So each year we have a topic or a theme for the conference. What's been the most relevant topic from your perspective?
I'd have to go back and think about that, but I felt they're all pretty relevant to the time. Mm-hmm. I think when they talked about forest and fish, that was a pretty relevant topic back in the early 2000s. That was a significant piece of legislation in Washington that had a profound impact on how we manage our forest lands. And I felt that having that be a topic helped the people that do the work understand why things were the way they are and how that contributes to the social license that lets them go to work in the first place.
So what do you see as a real value, or how long have you been coming to the Olympic Logging Conference?
I've been probably coming for 15 years.
Okay.
My brother Dick had been prior to myself, and then my dad would come up with maybe the Mayer brothers or people from Rainier or Simpson for many years prior to that. So, and in the logging supply business for many years, and also industrial supply business. And we valued this organization, Brian, the Olympic Logging Conference, tremendously as far as growing our business, meeting customers, and just knowing people like yourself who are going to chair the organization for many years.
Well, what do you see as changes in the conference itself over time? Has it stayed fairly much the same, or?
I would say that the conference, as its intended function or benefit to the industry, hasn't changed a lot. I think the vision of this conference was very, very well thought out and became a place for people to be able to meet their contemporaries in the industry, to learn about changing times, to being able to address political changes and so on, or environmental changes, but to figure out that we were all in a very, very wonderful industry, providing great services and products and such.
What do you think, is there something that comes to mind that would, in your opinion, make this conference better? How could it improve?
Carmen and Roger Smith, and there are a bunch of other folks in here that have adopted school programs. Your new person that they brought on the board today, John from RSG, he's been in Skamakaway and Cathlamet and some other schools, and we need to continue that program. We need to basically work our way into the schools, figure out how we teach programs, come up with lesson plans, and sell our program to the schools so that we have continuing education in that aspect.
And then there were a few interesting activities at past conferences.
So, shifting gears, Jack, tell us about some of your best memories from the conference. I mean, you got to have some great stories.
I have some excellent memories. Some I can share, some I can't. And I mean, there's things like the stories of the two loggers who wanted adjoining rooms and they didn't get them, so a guy went out and started his chainsaw up and made an adjoining room. The time that they wanted to have a little party out in the hallway and they had no place to put the booze, and so they just uprooted a bathtub and drug it out in the hallway and filled it full of ice. And it worked really good, except they didn't put a plug in it. So when it's dripping down through the next floor, it became kind of an issue.
Tell us maybe a little bit about like the most relevant or memorable topic that you heard at a conference or that you participated in.
I mean, it's an opportunity for people who do not often get that opportunity to learn what's going on in logging. And to me, I come looking for that information. You know, I looked, and now we're going to have drones and stuff like that, which are, to me, those are the type of things that the industry just, it's up at the top. I think we're just seeing the very early parts of what drones are going to do for us and what other GPS, LiDAR, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we get to hear about it here. It's not like it's a conference where they're trying to hide data or whatever. It's pretty much up in front.
For 75 years, this conference has been very memorable for a great variety of reasons. So maybe that's why people keep coming back.
This conference is strong because it's built on a base of tradition with an eye to the future. I guess being in the timber industry, you know, I look at Jack's photos at the beginning and a history of logging, and think about how strong and how tough they had to be to make it, you know, back in those pioneering days. And that foundation that they work so hard for, you know, that's our responsibility to carry forward and improve and make it relevant and keep the industry viable based on the hard work of so many before us. And the conference is just an extension of that those hardworking people.
75 years strong, and it's just the beginning.